phone setup here. Anyway, I was just trying to do a quick read for you. This will be for the month of September, and this 2025. So just going to get right into it. And again, this is for Cancer, 2025, September. So for those of you who don't follow along and you're new to my channel, how my readings work is I do just the main cards out first, and then I'll go through all of the clarifiers. So right now I have pre-pulled just because for the sake of time, sometimes my readings go a little bit longer. And then we'll kind of go through the details as I go through here. I will give you some details in terms of advice toward the end. I usually try to summarize it here at the end as well. So what I'm going to just say right off the cuff here, in the month of September, some very good cards, and there's certainly some challenges, but I see overall you're weathering the storm. I would say that when we get to anything that's 9s or 10s, that's an indication that we are certainly in a space where we're recovering from something, like we're still in the residual tail end of it. But for the most part, there are a lot of cards here that indicate that there's some advancement, and certainly that you've been doing some healing. So nothing of major arcana as far as the main cards out. Everything appears to be very minor arcana. So I'm just going to show you those first. Of course, the first card I have out here is the Ten of Wands. And then we've got other cards here as well. Ace of Pentacles. Again, this is just the surface cards. Temperance. And I have pre-pulled some of these in terms of specific questions here as well. Seven of Pentacles, and then we've also got the Six of Cups, and we also have the Eight of Wands, and then we've also got Seven of Swords, and then of course all the clarifiers are below, and I'll get to those. Four of Wands, and then the Queen of Pentacles. So what I'm going to start out with is just where things are at and then where they're headed, and then we'll do the advice cards. So what I'm looking at, the Ten of Wands overall, is that's a card of indicating that you're obviously at a tail end of something, as I mentioned earlier. So most of the cards are quite positive. As I mentioned, tens do indicate that you are still sort of sitting in that energy of, physically you may be feeling overwhelmed. Physically you may be feeling, like you've got no more, sorry, I'm a little bit tired today, guys, but I'll try to keep it moving along. But anyway, either way, Ten of Wands is a heavy workload. So there's something that's too much added pressure on you here, and it's certainly been like that for some time. And you need to find ways to be more efficient with your body and with the things that you do. Certainly because stress over time does accumulate, and of course there's all the other secondary factors of, how that traumatizes the brain and the body, and you get into other tracks of life. But either way, this is where you need to start setting some boundaries, because you're doing too much. And certainly if it's just you mentally doing an awful lot and not knowing where to turn or what resources are there, that's where you need to start looking for things that are going to help lessen that workload. For some of you, it may be dating. For others, it may be more about trying to find a way to, balance out the work-life balance. Certainly setting some priorities and a little more structure to your life. And again, that comes in the way of doing small things, setting up small routines so that you accomplish those on a regular basis. That takes the pressure off and keeps your mind busy and occupied in ways where you're still productive, not just busy being busy, but actually setting, 3 or 5 goals per day that help you to get things moving. So anyway, just examples, guys, but either way, financially, like I said, I'll get to that as well. Financially, I know things were looking pretty good. Certainly your health, like I said, is where I would see focus. I do feel like this is a time where you're feeling a little bit more stressed. There may be more physical, complaints, more physical ailments, that kind of thing that are at hand. And now we're into the Tower zone. Okay, so again, this is a big shift card. It is the major arcana, but it is also a secondary card. It's not the main one out, but it does tell me that I feel like you're getting a little bit of a wake-up call. For those of you that are physically exhausting yourself, I feel like there's going to be something here that really brings something to light that's going to force you to really take a look at the way that you're leading your life. I think the Tower moment, like I said, because it's more of a shakeup, this is something that is a structure that is being torn down to be redone. So, in other words, sudden, unexpected change of some sort, a wake up call. But either way, there's something here that tells me a breakdown of a routine that you've been doing on a regular basis is going to shift you, because this is something that is this is something that can't be, maintained. So you're not able to handle things physically in quite the way that you were. That's what I would say. So I feel like you need to get ready, because you're getting ready to get out of a rut. So again, even in terms of health, there could be something here about like a nervous disorder, something with fever, something even surgically, or something where there is some kind of problem that you have to face either way. And I feel like it brings you to sort of this sudden enlightenment. It's an epiphany of some sort that comes through, that something's got to change. Okay, you are also here with the Six of Swords. Now, the Six of Swords, this is also, I want to say that whatever you're doing, and this could be just your environment, your general environment, it feels like something has to change there for you, not just physically, but there's something here that you are wanting to distance yourself from. The Six of Swords is usually a card of, it could be moving, it could be something here that is putting behind you the tower moments, the difficulties. So I do feel like you're in a period of transition in the month of September. Something very significant is happening for you, and that may be where you found that there's an epiphany of some sort that's, helping you to move away or journey away from those difficulties. So like I said, your situation is about to improve, and you're transitioning because this is a turning point. So you're not going backward. It's almost like a new redirection or a new idea about who you are and how you're going to lead your life. So I would say be prepared for some kind of change, because this transition is coming in quite significantly. Now, this is also you needing to plan to restructure your life in some way. So this could be consolidating bills in terms of health as well, you traveling to a clinic to evaluate, health issues and that kind of thing. But either way, I feel like it'll still be for the benefit, nothing, you're catching something before anything erupts beyond your control. So I feel like this is where you're starting to realize that there has been some difficulties and there has to be changes. Okay, and even in terms of, like I said, if you're planning on making kind of changes from where you currently are, I would say, like I said, the burden has been heavy, but you're journeying away from all of that. You're at a 10, so there's something here that's going to be a bit of a disruption, that's going to push you in a certain direction. It's a change, it's a forced release. Something kind of breaks or has to break as well, so that you can kind of move into this new path. But either way, I feel like there could be a little bit of a transition or travel involved, but it's to calmer waters. It does show that it could be an actual move or a physical relocation, but you're leaving behind turbulence. You're leaving behind, the negativity or something that just wasn't working in your current situation. And I feel where you're headed now toward healing and stability. So this could be something that happens as well within a 3 to 6 month period of time, but either way, it's certainly looking like it fares better for you overall. Now, the next cards out are the Seven of Pentacles. And of course, the Seven of Pentacles are those cards of, we're considering what we're doing, we're trying to make plans, we're looking at the things that we've already sort of feelers that we put out there into areas of our life that we were trying to grow or make some changes. But so whatever it is for you that you've been putting your time, energy, and effort into, and in terms of ambitions, could also be dealing with a Taurus. Hi there. So I was just trying to read the comment. Oh, thank you very much. Sorry, I can't quite see I'm sitting up a little higher from my little image here. But thank you for the comment. Sorry, I'll have to get down a little closer and then I can see it. But either way, but yeah, like I said, what I see here is that Seven of Pentacles tells me that you're going to achieve something, even in terms of Your health. I would say that this is where, you are dealing with something that is helping you to better cope. You're better equipped. This is helping you to achieve a period of physical or mental well-being. It's improving it in some way. So this could also be where you're setting some new fitness goals. And it's also where you're deciding to sort of follow up and be more stable, create an exercise plan or whatever. And even on a spiritual level, I feel like you're breaking through some negative beliefs and patterns of that sort, and things are starting to move in more of a manifestation mode, like something that you're trying to really build. So either way, like I said, I feel like your future goals are starting to be planned out in the month of September, because this is where you're starting. There's still a little bit of confusion because I do remember seeing the Eight of Cups, but you're kind of all over the map a little bit in the month of September. There's a lot of movement in your thought patterns. There's waiting, there's patience, there's seeds that you've planted here. But I feel like something has been in your mind for some time, and it's like the timing is ripening. It's not instant, but it is unfolding. So there's something there that you've been thinking about for some time, and that is starting to unfold. The King of Pentacles, I feel, could be representing you. Certainly that is stability, that's security, it's grounding. This is where your head is. Could represent a father figure as well, somebody who's, head of a family. Either way, overall, it's simply financial, and it's certainly stability that is your foundation. I do feel like that's what you're focusing on. So it's whatever home means to you. I feel like that's what you're trying to tie yourself to build, and to return to more of a secure base. So below that is the card of the Lovers. Could be dealing with a Gemini here as well. Could be dealing with a connection. But there is something here overall that is stabilizing. So I feel like a decision is being made, and it feels right at some kind of soul level to you. It feels like it shows more of a reunion, more of an alignment. There's more of a connection there. So even though there was the disruption at the tower, it does feel like it's more of a deliberate, stabilizing choice that reconnects with your roots and where you feel loved and where there's belonging. So there's a lot of that really positive energy going on. Sorry, I'm going to check to see what the... Sorry, guys. I'm just going to hesitate for a second. Oh, it's the Hulk. Hi, beautiful, superior, white goddess, love you, beautiful. Oh, so sweet. Thank you. Really sweet. Appreciate that. But yeah, overall, sorry, guys, my little camera setup. We don't want that falling. Okay. I should figure out a more stabilizing way of doing this, but I like to do things on the go. But either way, like I said, I mean, this is still something I feel is very much on your mind, is trying to find something that stabilizes you overall. So the timeline, even with the Seven of Pentacles, does point to something soon, but not immediate. So this could be a process of weeks to a few months, but likely closer to late fall, possibly even going into winter. But I would definitely feel like this is something that you are giving a lot of thought and consideration to. So now we're going into the next cards, which were sorry guys, that is the Six of Cups I saw here. Okay, so the Six of Cups is a card of, nostalgic. You're looking back, you're feeling, pulled to simpler times. Things were more positive, more warmth, more, connection. You're reflecting on childhood, family, anything even that relates to who to be. So there's a lot of really, kind of a longing energy is what I would say there. Like I said, the Six of Cups is still, even in terms of you overall, I feel like this may be that you're in this state of mind because you're in a space of reconnecting with you. Overall, I feel like you could have been considering some of your old relationships and how things ended. Anything that was kind of unresolved, but you're also searching for something to really connect to in the month of September. So you may be unable to face all the emotional demands of a new relationship, but I still feel like, you're trying to deal with what's salvageable. Anything that has given you a little bit of hope is what I feel like you're looking forward to, even though there's some sorrow attached to the past. I do feel like you're moving forward here as well. So again, the Six of Cups is a time of innocence, and it is still sort of bordering on, you know, detaching from some of the old problems and the old memories. And you're looking forward to new opportunities, looking to build your foundation. So that also means anything that is quite positive from childhood is also coming through here as well. So it's almost like a bit of a mixed blessing of sort, but I feel like this is you looking back to even wishes and dreams and things that you wanted to do in the past, that you're finding some kind of peace in. So like I said, it feels like you are trying to renew yourself at a very core level. And even in terms of a relationship, if there was a significant connection here, I would say this is something that you're also taking a look at. The Four of Cups is, you know, obviously a card of sorrow, and it is something where you're kind of pining a little bit for a situation, but I still feel like it's almost like you're reevaluating things, because the Four of Cups is still that card of, you know, you feel like you missed an opportunity. It feels like there's been kind of discontent or disconnect. So again, could be a little bit of self-pity there as well with that card. But either way, I just feel like you're drained and there's a lot of dissatisfaction in terms of a romantic connection. But I still feel like those hurt feelings and that regret will be overcome with other things that are coming through for you. It's like you are trying to not unravel, but almost find a new way of focusing. You are focusing more so on the Nine of Cups now. So this is looking at your own happiness. This is where you're really trying to find a way to feel better. You know, this is obviously where you're starting to want something more for yourself, because that sense of dissatisfaction, that boredom, that emotional flatness, you know, even though you've got all these good things around you, it feels like you still feel disconnected, like nothing really is exciting you or fulfilling you. So that's why you're looking back to the past. That's why you're nostalgic for those simpler times, because it brought both warmth and sadness. And that's why you're reflecting on everything as a whole that was solid for you. That could be childhood, that could be family, or who you used to be. But the Nine of Cups is where you're looking at the dips as much as you're looking at the moments of personal satisfaction. So it's like flashes of, this is what I did, and this was a good thing. I really enjoyed that activity, anything sports oriented or otherwise. But it's like you are remembering your own self-worth, and you're going back to who you were to be able to sort of center again. I feel like you're working through your layers, basically. You know, you're working through layers. You're not fully settled, but there will be moments where you feel like you're more aligned and more content with yourself. That's what I would say in September. So it's like you're emotionally sorting through your life and tasting those little victories that you once had, and then sort of pushing yourself to grow a little bit more through the shadow, of dissatisfaction, and then keep going. So this to me looks like you're stabilizing, you're improving, not declining. You're steadying yourself out in some way. So like I said, you are definitely on the right path. And we're going to look at that sevens as the next set of cards out here. Okay, Seven of Swords, Three of Wands, Ace of Wands, Seven of Wands. Okay, so what I'm seeing there, I mean, certainly anytime we're looking at the Seven of Swords, that can be withholding information, that can be secrecy, whether on your part or someone else. It's also a hesitation and an avoidance in not being fully honest with yourself. So there could be a little bit of reluctance, a little bit of fear of responsibility, or trying to escape the pressure. So I do feel like there is a bit of a struggle in the month of September with that, but overall, you're still making plans. So like I said, Three of Wands, you're planning for the future. There are opportunities here, and it's just on the horizon. It's a little bit of a pause card. It does mean it's a little further out, but this is you thinking about it. And again, there was also the Seven of Pentacles here. So again, you're looking at, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What do I feel how do I see myself, in the future? You're thinking about it. You're imagining what it would look like, basically. So then we have that little spark of energy, because this is still a little further out. These are the clarifiers. Ace of Wands is that spark of energy. It's new energy, it's motivation, it's inspiration. It's a strong card for starting something new, whether this is studying or whether there is some kind of desire to learn something new. Could be a new job for others. Still a little further out because you're in the planning stage in the month of September. But we also have the Seven of Wands. So the struggle. This is where there's some resistance. You're fighting, or you feel like you're fighting an uphill battle. And even if you go back, it won't necessarily be smooth, but I feel like you prove yourself or constantly defend your choices. So there is a real possibility here that there may be a new job or a new school situation or some kind of new learning in the new year, but I definitely feel like with that Ace of Wands there and that Three of Wands, I would say that it's probably that you need to sort of deal with the inner battles first before you commit and test your commitment with the outer battles. So what I mean by that is building up the routine, building up, showing yourself that you can commit to yourself first in some way. So again, building up the routines with physicality or diet, or, committing to yourself so that you can show up for yourself in the new situations. But I would say that the Seven of Swords and that Seven of Wands, it is kind of a warning about that resistance, that you won't necessarily about something directly. It's almost like you may start and then you face the inner outer battle, and then you're kind of in a bit of a conflict right there. So it's almost like you need to prepare for that, so then break your mindset about something that you're rigidly looking at. Sorry, I'm just looking at comments again. Hi, Juanita. Hello. So anyway, moving on to the next ones here. So again, even timeline there, January to March, that's when that new spark of something shows up. And I feel like that's when you're actually going to take some action after that period of hesitation. So there's something there that I feel is going to be new for you in around that period of January to March range. So now let's look at next cards out are, okay, Four of Wands. This is really telling me that there's some kind of breakthrough in terms of your stability in September. And I feel like there could be a celebration as well that you're attending. But either way, this is a moment of feeling more secure within yourself and more at home with who you are. So again, you push through the majority of this. So this is probably late September, I would say, that you start to feel more comfortable. It's a milestone card. It's small, but it is the important victories. And when you look at below, that is the Three of Swords. So that does tell me, it's an indicator that, again, you're feeling more safe, more secure after the old pain, even though the old pain is still present. The wounds haven't fully healed yet, but you're still carrying that sadness or that heartbreak somewhere in the background. But it does show that your self-image about you, about yourself, is still a little bit tender, but it's moving. It's at a turning point, is what I would say, because the Wheel of Fortune is the turning point there. So this is still telling me, again, things are still shifting. You're not stuck in that same emotional cycle, not like before. This is where your feelings about yourself are in motion, and it's starting to change things. Now we also have the Two of Cups, and what's starting to change is also about, because this was actually a card that was kind of beneath everything, as a bottom of the deck card. With it all, there's this desire for love, harmony, connection, and it's like you're feeling better about yourself, and you're tied more so or closer to someone who's close to you. Like, I feel like there's somebody significant here, whether this is a friendship, a relationship energy, some kind of partnership of some sort, but it's helping you to feel better about yourself, whoever this is. And I feel like that's helping you to boost your self-esteem. So now we're going into the financial cards. It's just trying to, yeah, these were the ones. Your financial cards. Okay, so the Queen of Pentacles, of course, is about financial stability, practically managing your money, and you're being very resourceful about how you come up with your money, applying it to the right bills, making sure that, this could be you writing bills and knowing what it is each month. So it's not just, kept in the head. I feel like there's a lot of structure here. It's more of a grounded, responsible energy. So there's also below that the High Priestess. So this one tells me you're using your intuition, and I feel like you've got some hidden opportunities here that you may or may not be fully aware of, but these are ways that you can your finances that aren't obvious. So just pay attention to subtle cues, other people talking about other ways to make money, something online that might catch your attention. But something I feel is going to be revealed to you that's also a reminder, again, trust your gut in about your financial decisions, because I feel like the money is looking pretty good in the month of September. And even here with the Empress, this tells me there's more of a growth. There's more money coming in the month of September. So I feel like this points to a potential financial expansion or a benefit of some sort that's coming through you either putting your money in something that is going to grow. You could be getting support from other people, partnerships, family, close connections, or you're very creative in the way that you make your wealth grow or your money. So like I said, wealth seems to coming a little bit more naturally because you are also continuing to manage your resources wisely here in the month of September. So things look really good that way. Now, I did pull a couple of cards for your obstacle. So your cards for the obstacle is the Temperance. Now, the Temperance normally is a card of balancing things out and everything looks to be fairly solid. But in this one, I feel like the obstacle is finding the balance. You're struggling with trying to find that middle of the road and trying to be patient. It's difficult to blend these different parts of your life together, like work, study, health, relationships. And I feel like you're really impatient. You want to rush into things, and that can block your progress. So it's almost like slow it down, write it down, focus on one area at a time. You can still contribute time and energy into the other areas, but focus primarily on your stability first, and then, the rest sort of builds. But either way, that is the obstacle. So there's also the Two of Swords showing up here, which is an indecision. And again, this could also mean that there's another hurdle for you that you have to sort of make a choice about. But either way, I feel like you're feeling conflicted between two paths, unsure about what's the right direction here. And then that is the Sun card. So again, the Sun card here tells me that this is the heart of the issue because it was at the bottom of the deck. So this is about you gaining some clarity. You're gaining a lot more confidence. Could be dealing with a Leo energy here also. But it does suggest that the obstacle isn't permanent. It's more about not fully seeing the positive in this path. So again, I feel like there's something here about underestimating your own abilities, because once you start to feel more optimistic, and then I feel the clarity is going to come in, and then it's like the obstacle just dissolves. So I feel like you're starting to, like I say, find the inner balance, and then you're going to make some clear, confident choices. And you may be stuck or hesitant, but again, that Sun card tells me that it indicates that once you connect with, your purpose and your why you're doing things, what's important, then I feel like the joy comes through, and then this is where the challenge resolves itself. So I feel like it's not a true obstacle so much as it is just a choice that you have to make. And then my last out is the Eight of Wands. So the Eight of Wands is that card of something coming in, information, something's rapidly occurring here. I would also say, sorry, I'm just trying to, there's one more card I thought I had here. Sorry, guys. Maybe before I get into that one, I'm just going to take you through this one first. The Ace of Pentacles, just because that's something new, and we do have a couple of new aces, I believe it was. But either way, Ace of Pentacles is the main card out. So this tells me you're in a new beginning with your finances or your career or anything practical, dealing with your groundwork or the groundwork for stability and growth. So that is where things are at for you. That's your focus. And I feel like you'll be creating something And this is where there's that opportunity that's coming through. And again, this could be a new job for some of you as well. But either way, it's a moneymaker, whatever this is. The Eight of Cups is also telling me you are walking away from, again, the things that are not, you're not finding purpose in emotionally or spiritually or physically. So I feel like you need to leave behind the old habits, the situations, the old, skin thinking or whatever, any relationships that are holding you back. Because I feel like with the devil, and again, this could be your own vices as well, that devil energy is recognizing your own attachments to anything that holds you back. So, whether you've got unhealthy patterns, again, this encompasses alcoholism, this encompasses drugs, this encompasses bad habits, poor self-talk, overindulgences, unhealthy patterns, not sleeping well, not being not keeping a, what's the word I'm looking for? Not pattern, it won't leave my head. Not keeping any kind of, regimented sort of schedule. So again, this tells me that your focus could be this month more so on confronting those things that keep you stuck. So again, it's addictions, any kind of limiting beliefs, anything like that. And especially too, because it's followed with that the Eight of Swords. So the Eight of Swords is all about self-sabotage. It's things you bring on yourself. So this is something that is within your control. And this is where you need to break free. So this, again, is around your obstacles and the things that you need to challenge yourself. So really, it's a month of endings and new opportunities. And I feel like you're being challenged by those old elements. But the energy supports leaving it behind. There's lots of cards that tell me you're leaving a lot behind. And you're looking you're looking to build a more stable future. So very positive cards that way. What I would say, even with, like I said, the Eight of Wands, let's go into those last cards there. But even with the Eight of Wands, there's something here that's telling me that you've got incoming information. Eight of Cups could be a new emotional start here as well. Could be a love interest, could be also a job that is of interest to you. That you're emotionally drawn to. Sorry, I was just reading Juanita's comment there. Oh, you separated many times, 3 weeks. He tried to fight me and drunk. Beautiful. Eesh. And you met a new person. He's amazing. That's really good to hear. Like I said, I mean, when somebody's on their own journey and they have to fight their own battles, they oftentimes will bring in other people so they don't have to fight the battle themselves. They look to deflect it onto other people. So you really have to kind of leave them to deal with their own situation. Good for you, Anita. I'm just going to say that is huge what you just did there. But Ace of Cups, like I said, I mean, this is definitely something here about dealing with emotions and new romantic starts and all of that stuff. So I would definitely say that whatever is coming in here, it's, again, it could be representing a new love affair. It can also be representing just you moving to a happier situation, but it's the beginning stage of something overall. And this can also be unconditional love for yourself as well. So I know it's kind of a broad spectrum on that one, but it is a general read. So overall, I feel like these are really good cards. And something here that also tells me that even spiritually, it's like you're surrendering to something here. And that could be because of some level of forgiveness as well. So something here that is quite positive, like I said, and it's something new. And even if it is a romantic situation, it's a connection that's really deepening. Could be a friendship here as well, but whatever this is, it's a very strong emotional connection. The Hermit is also, also a card further out, but it is like it's a clarifier. But I mean, it definitely indicates that you're taking distance away from others to sort of deal with your situation. So again, this is searching for the truth. This is finding the answers. This is the path of somebody who's a true truth seeker. So this is deeper, dealing with the deeper levels of your psyche. But I feel like in terms of spiritual matters, this is where when you're going that deep, you're there, you're looking for something to illuminate you. You're looking to heal. This is where teacher information and spiritual teacher comes through. But it's also that space where you tie up the loose ends and finish things as well. And I feel like in terms of a relationship, that's what's happening there. So I feel like you've retreated into yourself because the relationships, maybe not currently were the priority here, because it feel like in spite of there being feelings, there's still a bit of detachment here, but I feel you will connect with someone soon, if not already, for a lot of you. Like I said, this is coming out of the darkness because it's soul searching, very deep emotional energy. And the moon, of course, is that card that tells me the same. So the moon is really where you're in that halfway spot. You're seeing some of the light, you're getting a better understanding of the deeper, levels of your subconscious and the things that you're dealing with. But all, I feel like this is where you're really starting to understand more of what's illusion, what were the things that you were telling yourself, what was really true that you might have masked with another thought. But again, it's also sort of looking at not just the good things that we might mask, as because sometimes when you're wearing rose-colored glasses, this is where you start to see more of what potential in a love situation could be, but in actual fact you may not be getting all of that back. So it's like you're holding yourself now to the light and helping, how do I put that, and trying to really review what it is that you want out of a relationship, because there was something that was disappointing you here, and it feels like, for sure relationships go through phases, some good, some bad, that kind of thing, but it's like, is there growth there? It's those kinds of things you want to ask yourself. Is there growth, and is the connection willing to grow, not just one-sided? So I was just reading your comment there, Juanita. His time? Yeah. Yeah, no, don't want to wait. Guard your peace, for sure. Guard your peace. Life is too short to just battle it all the way through. It is too short, and it's quite challenging, and it only gets, more and more challenging as time goes on, to find ways to guard your peace and sort of bring yourself back to yourself. Because when we get super busy, and I've been through that myself, when you get yourself so busy, you tend not to focus on the things that, make you happy or keep you connected to life. And that's what we're here for, is to find moments of peace, things that help us to remember who we are, basically. That's why we explore. That's why we're creative. That's why, people do interesting jobs. That's why people connect with other people. It's to learn about yourself. So when we get to the Seven of Cups, again, there's a lot of confusion, or a lot of almost psychological confusion here as well. But I feel like, again, there could be sort of, keeping yourself in a space of fantasy. There's still a little bit of confusion that you're sort of dealing with in this period, and it feels like it's in a relationship or a connection. So, like I said, there's something here about something new, but there's also something here that tells me that you're still held back in some ways, because you're kind of in a search for, like, you're vacillating between things, is what I would say there. So you really want to focus on what you want, what you're willing to give, and is somebody else willing to meet you there as well? And has there been growth? Sometimes, like I say, relationships go through phases and life gets busy, and certainly you have to kind of make concessions for that as well. But I still feel like you have to decide on what is important to you in this month, I think, in terms of what you want to feel, if that makes any sense. But like I said, that was what your cards were basically telling me, like, is the obstacles that we had. And again, the Eight of Wands this is coming through really quick. So it feels like you're healing through that quickly as well this month. You're finding, because the obstacle was you finding balance. So the only way to kind of find balance is really to encourage yourself to look at your emotional states, look at your routines, look at, how you overextend, or what are you emotionally reacting to or overreacting to, what are your patterns to deal with, cope with stressors. These are the things that you really want to take note of, because that's your obstacle. And again, we also had that Two of Swords, which was indecision. So it feels like you've got that all or nothing thinking, and I need to have this, or it's not going to be this, or I won't do this. So it's not, you want to reframe it. You don't know what to do, but you can explore something, kind of step by step. So think of it that way. If you don't know what to do, just explore things step by step. How can you improve it? How can you get what you want in different ways? Test the waters a little bit there. And again, when we had the Sun card, that was, that's clarity and that's confidence, but that's also positive visualization. So it's where you start to identify some of the small wins, and then you reinforce it, by journaling it or doing something positive to kind of build on that success. And they always say, especially too for people that are ADHD, which I am a little on that side for sure. But what happens is when you can actually do alpha meditation, that they recommend, and it really, because they say, believe it or not, this is not good news, but ADHD can also be correlated with early Alzheimer's down the road. So, things that you want to do is to try to do some natural means of healing the body, and meditation apparently is especially good for people that have, high stress or ADHD or any kind of, when you're overwhelmed, listening to alpha music. And there was some kind of MIT study as well that they did. I was listening to this neuroscientist about that, an MIT study where he listened to 40 hertz. And that is something in mice apparently helped to improve their cognitive ability and memory retention. So just good information. Anyway, just throwing it out there if any of you have that kind of interest. But like I said, either way, I just feel like you are in this of kind of closing up a chapter here in the month of September. Like I said, you are new beginnings, there's goal setting, you're starting to think about clear, actionable steps here, reframing things. Your stability is very important in September. You're really looking at how to create more stability for yourself. So again, I do see the potential of maybe even 2 jobs here, actually, for those of you that are looking for work, but otherwise there's some kind of emotional new beginning here for you. And I certainly feel like, the cycle is coming to an end of some sort, and I feel like the endings are leading to a lot of these new beginnings that I'm seeing. So like I said, overall, I feel like you are going to reconnecting with possibly family on some kind of event here as well. But it's you taking the time to sort of reevaluate your relationships and what truly nourishes you. So again, not all your connections are going to be in periods of growth, but there are some very significant ones that I see here that seem to be actually starting to grow. And I definitely feel like you need to trust your intuition before you confirm, that something is a certain way. So again, there's something here about you have a lot of possibilities. Not all of them are healthy here, and that's where you need to sort of get yourself clear. And really look at things realistically. So don't try to sabotage it with your own cognitive distortion about how things are, that people don't care about me, or I'm not good enough, or whatever, because if you can't build yourself up, I can guarantee you the rest of the world isn't going to be doing that for average. So you have to like you. You have to be there for you. You have to be your own best friend. Because the world is there to challenge you. It's a bit of a game. And so, like I said, remember, build yourself to the point where you can actually strengthen yourself with resources, get rid of the old habits, start more practical projects, anything that's going to nourish your self-worth, your self-value, balance out your emotions. And again, it's with small routine things that you do, like your day-to-day structure. But either way, I do feel like you're going to be open to more deepening of bonds with people or some kind of new connection. So really good information here, like I said, in terms of your cards looking really good. So hopefully that gives you guys a little bit of insight. A little late for me, so I guess I should probably round this up. But thanks for stopping in, guys. And I so love it when you comment. even though I can't quite see them all 100% there. But I do see Juanita's. Oh, it was your birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, belated. You guys are sweet. Thanks for following up and hanging out with me. So I'll try to do a few more reads here in the next short little while, but keep moving forward. Never give up. Everybody's got something to contribute to this world. You just got to find it. Until next time.